When I told Natalie that I would retaliate if she didn't come forward and tell the truth, I was specific. She didn't expect me to expose those men with her words. Or in Tim's case, Tim Beeson, with Tim's words. Um, the way that you guys were treated, the way that Zayd Atkinson was treated, and Theresa mycelia, and Michelle Rodriguez, and Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, and so many more. Nancy Stopka, Christopher Weaver. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Christopher Tapp. So many people got screwed by the police not willing to do their job. They even manipulated witnesses in most of those cases. Some of the predators in those cases ended up getting painted as the victims. And it's terrible because this stuff happens in Boulder every day. Every day they just wash you through. Same thing with Jefferson County. Same thing with Arapahoe County and Adams County. You're good money. That's what you are. You're easy money. Meanwhile, you lose everything that you have because you're spending all your money going to crippling appointments and crippling expenses for being falsely accused. You can't afford to feed yourself. You can't afford to get medications. You can't afford to get anything except gas to and from wherever it is that you got court next. Meanwhile, the whole time, every place that you go, literally begging for a police officer to show up, and literally everywhere, no, the police aren't going to do it. They wouldn't do it at the hospitals. The police wouldn't show up to take my report. They wouldn't do it when they came to see me and put me on suicide watch. I didn't need suicide watch. I needed the police to shut up and fucking listen. I needed them to take a look at the evidence. I needed them to do their fucking jobs. Natalie needed them to do their jobs, but they didn't. Officers like this Burke fella, who later was able to harm me physically in a hospital for still trying to make a police report. The things that I did in desperation, like threatening the life of the President of the United States of America, to try to force an outside agency to take a look. And instead, that outside agency just watched as Officer Brian Valenzuela walked out of that room in Longmont, Colorado, and took the bag of evidence to Sheridan, Colorado, out of jurisdiction, across jurisdictional boundaries. And this is the stuff I was supposed to be showing Amanda Jonas. She didn't even take a look. She just filled me in on the fact that Burke was supposed to do his job previously, and he was one of the people I was trying to sue. Yes, I am trying to sue them. I want to sue the whole fucking state of Colorado, not just for myself, but for all the victims of this shit. It's fucking horse shit. I should have been able to face my fucking accusers, to show them what the fuck is going on. If they're getting played by these fucking wingnuts, they deserve to know it. But the thing is, they had access to all of the things that I was trying to show them. They just didn't take it. They didn't care. They were busy Sean bashing and manipulating and being cruel. And you know what? I'm that way back now. I'm not going to tolerate your bullshit. I'm tired of the predators getting away and good men getting fucking shat on and treated like they're the fucking bad guys. I tried to get Miss Shelley somewhere safe after that pocket dial at Candace's. That scared the shit out of Candace. I understand completely why Candace did what she did. I'm still pissed off at her because it makes her the worst friend I ever had. I mean, right then, when I needed a friend the most, and that's when she fucking took out the knife and fucking hacked me to pieces. I understand why she did it, but the fact that so many people went through this and should have come forward and didn't. I got their screenshots, I have the evidence. Somebody should have done the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Despite everything that happened with Natalie, when she disappeared, the first thing I started doing is trying to find her. You can ask Sarah Rubiolo and Brett Roloff. Like, that's the very first thing I did when I got that phone call saying that Natalie was missing. And the things that they used to try to paint me as a bad guy on Sword and Scale, I mean, that is such fucking horse shit. And I was never allowed to defend myself. Instead, they hacked up everything that I said and tried to make me look like some sort of fucking psycho. Meanwhile, even though there was officers in a whole bunch of agencies involved in the bullshit that they pulled on me, these internal affairs divisions can only investigate stuff within their jurisdiction, which means that the stuff at the jail that happened, that's on all of those body cams, and they can look at those body cams, all of those people who were in that jail, in that area that the ambulance drove into. You can hear them talking about Natalie. You can hear the bullshit that they're fucking pulling. Telling me they'll take my report when I get to my cell, and I get to my cell. This fucking handcuffs have been on my wrist, wedged into the bone for like 35 minutes by this point. They've lifted me up multiple times by this. Damn, police here are active. But they do such cruel fucking things, you know? If there's good officers out there, they should be arresting these bad officers. But what are you going to fill them in with? People of upstanding moral integrity are gone this day and age. I mean, sure, there are some people who can afford such luxuries, but most of the folks down at the bottom are lucky to scrounge by for another day. The Boulder police, when I was trying to tell on the staff members at Centennial Peaks as a kid, this is Boulder County. The police there at Lafayette, they did the same thing as Boulder. The ones in Louisville, same thing. When I was a kid, it sucked. It sucked being in that area. It sucked being raised in the system in Colorado. The black kids don't realize you're in there for the same reasons they are. They just all think it's racism. No, it's poverty. Those of us who grew up in the system, most of us don't get good, solid family connections. What we get is cruelty, and we get people who want to throw us away because we're not perfect. Or because after what they did to us, we came back damaged. I was damaged long before I ever met Natalie. I was damaged long before I was ever homeless. I mean, I grew up in the system. And it isn't fun when people force themselves on you. It isn't fun. But then you tell somebody and they brush you off or treat you like you're lying. The way the police treat you and it's one of their friends, yeah, then they'll do something. But if it's not their friends, then what do? They ignore you. Or they treat you like you're the predator. I understand why Natalie did that. She didn't want people to know she was on heroin. She didn't want people to know that her dad raped her. This is stuff that she had told me in confidence, and she expected it to stay a secret forever. And it would have been if she'd have come forward and told the fucking truth. I mean, before I ever exposed Tim Beeson with his own words and Ted Bollinger with Natalie's words, I exposed Natalie with the story of what fucking happened in Virginia. I typed that story out because it was important to tell. It was fucked up. And I got evidence from the people that I got the Honda from that fucking issue had been ongoing with the vehicle, and like, that fucking sucked. It wasn't a fun thing to go through. And I thought about their situation. People didn't bother to think about mine. But the things that happen to you, they happen to a lot of people. I'm not the only one it happened to. You're not the only one it happened to. I have an archive of hundreds of victims. Hundreds. A lot of them are dead now. People who are homeless don't live long. It's tough. Everything is so fragile. So much more fragile than when you're in a house, when you're with loved ones. People can do things so much easier because you're alone. They can literally kill you and get away with it. And you know it. People let you know that they're aware of this. And sadly, they're absolutely right. Some of the most vile and wretched human beings to some of the people that you might think are the most upstanding in your community. Some of those upstanding Christians raping their own kids. Boulder County is fucking dirty. The things they do to the kids in that county are dirty. I want you to try to get a hold of Nancy Stopka. She can help. Mariah Johnson, she can help too. Alicia Bollinger could probably help. If you want to get the word out, like, yeah, there's routes to go. There's a lot of really fucked up people out there, though. A lot of them are in law enforcement. A lot of the public pretenders will give you bullshit. They tried pulling the I got into a car accident thing on several occasions with me. On very important court dates where I could have possibly shown evidence, but they wouldn't. They absolutely refused. My lawyers at no point in time were willing to do absolutely anything useful towards my cases. They compartmentalized them, and because they kept shipping me from county to county, it was hell. They were calling it help, and it wasn't help. It was them injecting me with drugs for trying to get a police officer to come take my goddamn report. I went through that as a kid too. You're crying wolf. You're crying wolf. There's a woman named Roberta. I don't know her last name at the moment. I'll try to remember it and let you know her name too. Chelsea Atkin. Who else? Crystal Beauchamp. There's a lot of guys who have gone through it too. A lot of guys that I'm not currently getting along with, but they know what's going on too. A lot of them. Aaron O'Connor, I got a personal beef with him But at the same time, I do believe he's trying to make things better. I do believe that if he wasn't such a coward, he could do a lot more good. He's standing up, though. He's living in a house. He's taking some guff for the homeless population. I will give him that. I will give him his due. He may not have helped me, but he could probably help you. All of these people know more victims. It's not just with the rapes, it's also with turning a blind eye to child trafficking, to the bashing of the homeless people. Homeless people getting beaten to death, and they won't rule it a homicide because they're just homeless people. I got so much documentation, literally hundreds of victims, the names of hundreds of victims of the Boulder Police. You got no idea. This is a very big issue. I started passing out blankets in Boulder, Colorado because bad laws were killing my friends. They were freezing to death. I got a lot of witnesses here on my YouTube, and it'll probably get me in a lot of trouble. Matter of fact, I'm for certain it already has. But the truth needs to be known. Boulder is fucking crooked. They're dirty. I've had a few people that wanted to come forward about some judges that they knew that were involved in some pretty heavy shit. But those people are kind of vegetated now. They got the same treatment that I did, and their mental capacities suffered worse than mine did. Being stuck out here unable to defend yourself is no fun, and you're alone, and people know you're alone. They can do whatever they want to you. But it also needs to be known that it doesn't just happen to homeless males. It doesn't just happen to minorities. It's happening to white girls in Boulder, Colorado, for shit's sake. If people don't care about anything else, they care about what pretty white girls have to say. And that's sad to say, but it's an honest fact. Fact. Now, this young woman, among so many women that I know, and also young men, the Boulder Police refused to take a report. They refused to do their jobs repeatedly. They refused to investigate themselves, and they're the only ones you can go to have them investigate it. They'll try to get you to go talk to a plainclothes, and you go talk to the plainclothes, and you get in trouble for trying to turn in another officer. And they toy you around and toy you around and toy you around. And then finally you call them up and you say, hey, what gives? And they pretend none of it ever happened. This is what officers do. It's what they're trained to do. It's all they can teach them to do in 6 months is how to be bullies. And then they get out there on the streets and they realize how easy it is. Look at those homeless people over there. They fucking stink. People hate the fucking homeless. We can do whatever we want to them. Dude, that'll look good on your record. You're cleaning up the town. Look at that trash over there. Meanwhile, it was people like me who were cleaning up the trash in Boulder, Colorado. I left for 3 months to go get my teeth yanked. All of them. And when I came back, all the places I used to pick up garbage, they all have no trespassing signs at them now. And the business owners are telling me, and the managers too, telling me, I'm sorry, Sean, you were gone. Nobody else was picking up the trash. You were pretty much it. You and John, or you and James, depending on which area it was at. A lot of people should have turned in their predators. With Natalie, it would have been Tim and Ted. She didn't expect me to use that as a weapon. She probably didn't even remember it existed when I used it that way. But there's a reason I used it that way. I was taking abuse as if I had done what Tim did, as if I had done what Ted did. Most of these women, when I told on their predators or the predators of their children, they got angry. I get that, but these predators are still walking free. You have no idea how many times I've seen a woman come forward about a predator, and then 10 or 15 more people come forward. People who should have come forward before. And because they did not come forward, those predators were allowed to do it again and again and again and again and again. So, when I told on Andrew Witcher, there's a reason I did it. It's because these people are my loved ones, and I'm tired of predators getting away from the things that they're doing. They're getting away with it because of people that I love. People I love and care about are letting these predators go because they love them, and mostly it has to do with sex. It's so fucked up. People protecting their families even knowing that their families are doing wrong. Brandy Copen, she knows that her mom, Theresa Orrin, is a fucking alcoholic. They didn't talk to each other for over 2 years. And Brandy saw me on the TV and called up Theresa. And Theresa's drunk ass had to call me to talk about her dead husband and use that as her venting time. And everybody's doing this to me. I mean, I'm listening to so many people's stories, how fucking sad of a world that I'm living in. And this shit makes me want to blow my goddamn head off. And I'm like, hey, I need help. All right? You guys are blowing me all of your stories, and it's fucking killing me. It is tearing me up inside and out. And I've seen this for years. I've been reporting it on Facebook for years. I have records of hundreds of predators on my Facebook. Hundreds of them. From their victims. But nobody will take a look. They only want to find the parts that they can use to try to make me look like a bad guy. No, you guys pretending that I'm the bad guy. Instead of finding out what's going on, you went with shitty assumptions and did shit that was harmful. I'm doing everything that I can to try to get the rights that you were given freely. Meanwhile, I have paid every step of the way for shit that didn't fucking happen. Things that I was never allowed to make a police report about. Things that I knew would happen. The things that the Boulder police did to me at the hospital on January 6th, I was afraid of for a reason. I'd seen them do this to several people that I fucking care about, who came back fucking crazy as shit. These are human beings. And the fact that they're doing this to white girls in houses, too, that shows how deep it is. You guys want to know why Jean Bonnet's case was never solved? It was never solved because these are hobo hunters. They're not investigators. Their job is to turn a blind eye and make the city look clean. Meanwhile, without those homeless people that go around picking up all the trash piles up. And then there's a lot of homeless people. They leave their camps a mess. They have to. They have to be out of there soon enough that the cops don't come and get them. And it sucks. Like, they'd pick up camp. The problem is they have to find little tiny nooks and crannies, places where they can hide and get in and out of quickly and hope that they don't have a cold, because if they snore, they're in trouble. Can't wear a blanket. Gonna have to freeze to death so you don't get a fucking ticket for camping inside of city limits. These guys are mistaking minorities for homeless people. And then they're so hardcore about not wanting to admit how they treat homeless. They're willing to say, oh yeah, it was racist. We're sorry. That's how fucked up a situation we're in. I know victims who are in prison for telling on their predators. In prison for telling on their predators. The things that happened to me as a kid, the things that happened to so many people growing up, they need to not be allowed to happen. What, you think you gotta be black for your dad to be a cocaine addict who sells firearms? That was a big shocker to me. My dad sold an AR-15 to an undercover cop. He was on cocaine. He was busted with 38 counts of cocaine with intent to sell. My mom was in and out of rehab, for a court-appointed rehab, because of cocaine. We went through hell. My little sister, she got to live with my stepdad quite a bit. But the rest of us boys, we were in the system. Michael got to live with his dad a little bit. Me and Eric, we didn't live with our dad so much. He's not much of a dad, though. He just assumes that you're wrong and he's right, and that's the way it is, 100%, no matter what, cut and dry. Fuck that. I refuse to be the bad guy. You guys want to pretend I'm the bad guy? Fine, I'll pretend. I'll pretend for you. I'll show what's wrong with the fucking system. Problem is, there's the follow-through issue. I'm not actually willing to go do the stuff that I bluffed about. I just needed somebody to help me get an honest fucking day in court. I needed these people who were doing these things to me. I needed to show how wrong it is. See, it's wrong if I do it, but is it wrong if they do it to me? Is it wrong if they do it to me for months before I finally do it back? No, it's not. It's also not okay for the police to not take a report. It's not okay for the police to not look at evidence, to do everything that they can not to look at evidence. When the Boulder police are so brazen about their laziness and their ill intent that they're willing to treat a white girl like she's homeless, you know it's fucked up. If you get raped by a college student, they basically try to turn a blind eye, and that's just how it is. And we're supposed to accept this. No, I don't accept that. What Natalie's dad did to her, he should be in prison for. What Tim Beeson did to her, he should be in prison for. What those officers did to me and to her, they deserve prison for. If prison is the sentence that we're looking for, then by all means, let the long arm of the law, well, obviously not do their job. I spoke out about how the Boulder police treat rape victims long before this ever happened to you, Theresa. The exact scenario that you're in is documented on my Facebook repeatedly. I don't know how to better convey this, but I've been trying to blow the whistle for 30 years, just falling on deaf ears. That's what happens when you got poverty going on. A lot of people tried to help me, but in the situation that I'm in, they just didn't understand, and it was a lot of people who were in fucked up situations themselves. I'm going to do my best to get your story out.